bi-monthly meeting. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Nice to see it's a little brighter outside now with the changing in daylight savings time. And we had good timing on the weather here to enjoy our first full day of it. Okay, the roll call will show that we are all here except for Councilperson Jason Atherton. We'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes of the February 24th, 2025 meeting, approval of bills and claims, licenses and permits, however there were none this time, firefighter appointments, a line striper purchase, and pickup truck with service body purchase. Is there any questions? We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
By Tom.
Second.
And JJ. Roll call vote, please.
Bauer.
Yes.
Cordero.
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Schreck. Yes. Seaman.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Are there any oral requests and communications from the audience this evening that anyone would like to speak about anything that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go to ordinance, which there are none of, and down to resolutions. And the first one is infill housing incentive program, and Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. What I'm requesting is that we more specifically identify the area for our infill housing that we're excluding. In the verbiage, we have it as the Rolling Hills neighborhood. I would like to change that verbiage to Rolling Hills urban condominium urban renewal area, the second edition, so that anything in that other, in the area down there that's not part of that urban renewal area could still get the infill housing.
Are there lots down there, or
There are some,
properties
there are some lots. If you look at the map we've got here, quite honestly, there's only 2 lots which are on the west side of Meadow Lane.
Okay.
So there's a couple other, is there 3 other ones that would be excluded or included in this as well on the other side of the road?
To the north there, those are already built out, so no.
They are, okay.
Are there any questions?
That's an old map. Yes, that is an old map.
Okay, is there a motion to, is there a motion to approve the resolution adopting revised infill housing incentive program?
So moved.
I think we had
Tom.
Tom first. We'll take Carroll
Carroll
in a
second.
Roll call, please.
Bauer.
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Schreck. Yes. Cordero.
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, and we'll go on to water system pressure zone improvements, and Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. Dave Bruner has prepared an offer to buy real estate and acceptance agreement to purchase real estate for the water pressure zone improvement project. The property identification is Lot 11, Bob and Lou's first commercial subdivision, and the seller is 704 Development Corporation. The terms of the agreement, of course, are detailed in the agreement. Generally, the purchase price is $250,000, and the closing on the property is anticipated about April 1 of 2025. Prior to preparation of the offer agreement, there was not an appraisal made on the property. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of approval of the offer to buy real estate and acceptance agreement for the water pressure zone improvement project.
Randy, real quick, I just want to make sure the public knows too, the reason, I mean, we kind of decided on not doing an appraisal was, didn't matter what it really came back at. I mean, every one of them had a higher dollar figure associated with the property compared to what it actually appraised at.
Yes, the higher
So,
asking price.
yes.
You bet.
And we didn't want to go back into a 3 or 4 month time frame waiting period to wait for the appraisal to get this project moving.
And essentially, this is the cheapest one that was on the table.
Yes.
All right, is Is there a motion to approve the offer to buy real estate and acceptance agreement?
So moved.
By Tom. Is there a second?
Second.
And Carolyn will second. Roll call vote, please.
Seaman?
Yes.
Wardenaro?
Yes.
Bauer?
Wait, yeah, you can.
Can I vote on this? That's one of my properties were
No, you're-
considered, okay,
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you can.
yes.
Shrek? Yes. Dirks?
Yes.
Resolution's approved.
We'll move on to general obligation capital loan notes not to exceed $9.465 million. We'll open up a public hearing. It is 5:21 right now. And Laura?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a time for the public hearing on this debt issuance that we've been talking about that has been incorporated into our fiscal '26 budget proposal. The 5 projects are listed out there with dollar amounts. This memo, which is slightly different than the last one, I did add the repayment schedule that we've worked with our financial advisor, PFM, to come up with, and the time frame that the different portions of the debt would be paid off. Some of that was based upon the debt service levy was so we can maintain our debt service levy rate at $1.40, as well as incorporate into knowing that there are some other street projects that are coming up here in the next couple of years. The TIF repayment schedule was based upon what we anticipate for the repayment, the TIF that would be generated in that area, to have the cash flow to pay for that. And then the water and sewer fees were based upon cash flows in those funds. And so that's how we came up with those different timeframes to repay the debt. So part of this is the public hearing, which the notice was published timely in the Carroll Times-Herald on Friday, February 28th, which is in accordance with state code. So this is a time for people to make comments. No comments were received in the office for or against prior to the council meeting. So this is the time for people to make comments on that. There is 2 resolutions for you tonight to consider at the close of the public hearing. The first one was basically to take the next step, saying that we want to keep moving forward. And then the second one is, the shorter version of what's listed on here is the pre-levy resolution that basically states that we are looking to issue this debt sometime in fiscal '26, and we would like to ask for taxes to pay for that first year's payment before the debt is issued. Once the debt is issued, then all that will get finalized, and a final repayment schedule will be completed at that time.
All right, is there any input from the public regarding this issue from anyone that's here? Any comments from anyone at the table or questions for Laura?
The sanitary sewer and water main, that's what's going out to Ziegler, yes?
Yes. The TIF one, yes, yep, that is that one, that is that project.
And then 12th Street is just an estimate, since we're not finished deciding which plan we're gonna go with.
Correct. We anticipate we'll be taking bids on that before we would issue the debt, so that can always get adjusted accordingly.
Anything else? All right, it's 5:23, we'll close the public hearing. If there's no further comment, I look for approval of a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action.
So moved.
Was that Laverne?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Laverne, and Tom seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Shrek?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Wardenaro?
Yes.
Resolution's approved.
All right, and then a resolution authorizing the issuance and levying a tax for the payment thereof.
So moved.
By Laverne
Second.
and Tom seconded. Roll call vote for that, please.
Seaman?
Yes.
Wardenaro?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Shrek?
Yes.
Resolution's approved.
All right, very good, thank you. Next is the US 30 advanced warning flashers, and Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. A small plan for the installation of advanced warning flashers on Highway 30 at eastbound Griffith Road and westbound Market Street has been completed, and the DOT has approved those installations. We have requested a quotation to purchase and install the equipment from General Traffic Controls. General Traffic has done all of our signal work in town. They're located out of Spencer, Iowa. Their quote is a lump sum of $21,551, And they expect the flashers to be delivered within 60 to 90 days. And now, alternate price quotations have not been requested at this point, and funding for the project is not included in the current budget, but it would have to be monitored for possible amendment in the future. And unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of approving the general traffic control quotation for purchase and installation of the US 30 advanced warning flashers.
All right, just to clarify this for me, the budget would be approved before this came, so we would have to, change do a budget amendment if we purchase this, or?
What
how
we
would
would
that
be
work?
doing, we would put it in our current budget, and if our costs would to go over that line item, then we would have a budget amendment. If we can keep our costs down, then we won't budget for it, we'll just take care of it and not do a budget amendment.
Any other questions for Randy? All right, if not, I look for a approval of the resolution approving the general traffic controls quotation for purchase and installation of the US Highway 30 advanced warning flashers.
So moved.
Second.
JJ seconded.
You gotta be quick.
Roll call, please.
Yeah, you should put the dollar figure in there. That's all right.
Yeah, the
Thank you.
motion, I'll have it in there.
Okay.
Yeah, yep. Okay, roll call. Wardenaro.
Yes.
Shrek.
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
All right, moving on to reports, we will move on, we will go to infill housing incentive program application cancellations, and I believe that'd be Laura.
Yes, thank you. Working with the building department on our current infill housing incentive program, not the one that we recently approved, but the first go-around. that we
Original
had.
one.
The original one, yes. We had two applications that have defaulted on the rules, and they are listed. The first one, construction was not complete within the 18 months after the issuance of the building permits. That was the applicant to Metro Homes for the property location of 1505 East 10th. And then the other one was for an application from Two Bald Hawks LLC for a triplex that they're doing at 334 West 13th and Quint Avenue. Construction had not started within 3 months after the application of the infill housing incentive had been approved. So staff is recommending the cancellation of these applications. Well, with the cancellation of these and we were planning on using the American Rescue Plan of the ARPA funds. We did do some research and found that there is some guidance out there that if you had entered into a contract or obligated funds, ARPA funds, prior to December 1st of 2024, which these two were, we were under contract and had obligated those funds, and then something happens after December 31st where the contract could not be fulfilled, and that the recipient, meaning the city, canceled those contracts, we can substitute a new contract in place of these after this December 31 deadline. So staff would recommend that we then use ARPA funds, those two ARPA funds that were freed up with the cancellation of these, towards the second round. And the first two applications that come in, we would obligate and use ARPA funds for those two, and then still have the second round of the infill housing of the 10 still available to be approved.
So that would go from 10 to 12.
Correct.
Yes.
Don't we already have one for the new?
I believe one has been filed in the
Yes.
office, yes.
So one of these two would be for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Building department's also been in contact with 5 others. So,
What's the feedback you've gotten on this, Dan, on the $20,000 incentive from contractors?
They really want it. I mean, they ask all the time, are we getting it back, you know? I had one gentleman in last week that started building his home and said, do I get to qualify for that? And I said, I'm sorry, but you know, he's already started his and it doesn't work that way.
How
And
many,
he understood it.
how many of these are spec homes?
I think there's only gonna be the triplex the other one is built, they're built in theirs. That's not a spec home. There was an inquiry of somebody building a spec home. I'm trying to think of that might, 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Just the one spec home is what one person asked about.
Are we looking at, are these people that currently live in town, or are they moving to Carroll, to build?
The one I believe is moving to town.
I just think that's good to look at too for us
Yeah,
to see, you know.
the one I talked about that didn't get the infill is moving from out of town into town, moving from the country in town.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious, you know, on our side of it, you know. I personally think it's a good thing and it works.
I mean, you have contractors asking if it's gonna be available again, because and then they'll ask if it is, what do you do with it? Because we've had some new ones asking it. I mean, you can share it with whoever you're building the home for, or you can do whatever it's whoever fills out the permit, so, yeah.
All right, any other? Would look for a motion then to approve the cancellation of the applications as presented and fund the next 2 housing incentive program applications with ARPA funds. So moved.
Second?
And
Kyle.
seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Sorry, Bauer,
Yes.
Dirks,
Yes.
Bornero,
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Next report is on the municipal golf course booster pump station project. Chad.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We've reached substantial completion with our golf course booster pump station project. It's a mouthful. Basically, it was completed late December. Engineers have gone through, created a punch list. They are currently working on those punch list items now. Final completion will not be had until after startup at the first of the year. Obviously, with finishing when we did, we weren't able to start it up and test anything, so it'll be first of the year. We're looking probably next month sometime for firing it up. But my recommendation is acceptance of the certificate of substantial completion for the Muni Golf Course Booster Pump Station project.
So since we don't know if it's working for sure, you're comfortable with this because there's a guarantee.
For sure, it's more or less a plug and play.
Yeah.
So there's,
Just wanted to
I mean, as
clarify.
long as they're on site and know exactly if there's any small fixes that need to be had, then we should be fine.
Any other questions?
How long a warranty do you get on something like this?
I want to say the structure is 5 years, and then the pumps are maybe right around that same time too. And then, obviously there'll be some just different, I don't want to say liens, but different things that they need to be they'll be held accountable for this project. So if we notice something maintenance wise isn't working correctly within a certain time frame, then they have to come back and certify that it works.
That certain time frame is
I
negotiable?
have to
or-
look it up, but since there's a lot of different moving parts, I'm sure the warranty is different on some of the electrical than it is on the actual pumps themselves or the building itself.
All right, anything else? I'd look for a motion to accept the certificate of substantial completion for the municipal golf course booster pump station project.
Second.
Laverne seconded. Roll call, please.
Dirks,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Bornero,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Schreck.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, we'll move on to the report on device retail permit, and Brad?
Thank you, Mayor. In the 2024 legislative session, the state legislators approved Senate File 345, which is Iowa Code 453E. It's the tobacco products, device retailers, and delivery sales. The state has defined a device as a pipe or a pipe made in glass or metal that is designed for inhaling through combustion tobacco, hemp, other plant materials, or a controlled substance. The code became effective July 1 of 2025. And since that time, we've only received one permit request from A&M Trading Incorporated, which does business as Greenleaf Vape and Tobacco, which is located at 803 West Highway 30. This is the first time that we've received one of these, and I consulted with the city attorney to see what our options were. And after some discussion, it was determined that we can either approve or deny these, and that we have some discretion on the device permits. This is a new code, of course, and it's the first one that we're seeing. So we did a little bit of a research and went into the places to check out the devices that they're selling, which we'd already been into most of them. And from my experience, the devices that the places are selling, not just this A&M Trading, but one of the other ones in town, the devices are commonly used for inhaling a controlled substance, either being marijuana or methamphetamine. I sent an undercover officer in on Thursday night to Greenleaf Tobacco, Vape and Tobacco, and he was able to purchase what I consider a methamphetamine pipe, which Laura has a picture of she can put up there. From Greenleaf, that is the pipe in the receipt from us purchasing the pipe from this location. So they're obviously in violation of their current law with not having a permit and selling the pipe. They've also been suspended by the state for their CBD licensing, which is through the Department of Health and Human Services, and that memo from the Department of Health and Human Services is attached to the memo that I submitted for this council meeting too. So it's kind of up to you guys as to how you want to move forward with this, what public perception may be on the devices that are being used. But I can tell you during my career, the pipes that are being sold in these locations I've never confiscated one. I can probably attest for the rest of our officers that I've never confiscated a pipe that was not used for either meth or marijuana, the types of pipes that are being sold at these locations. So I'll kind of leave it to you guys, but my recommendation would be to deny these permits, and specifically this one to A&M Trading Company, doing business as Greenleaf Vape and Tobacco, which is located at Highway 30 West in Carroll. Tammy King is here from A&M Trading Incorporated, and if you have any questions or you want her to present, she certainly can. She's sitting here in the front row.
Tammy, do you want to come up and speak on this? You give us your name and who you're representing.
My name is Tammy King. I'm representing A&M Trading, doing business as Greenleaf Tobacco and Vape. They currently have 4 employees. They've been in business since August 2023. Pipes that we're talking about, the glass and metal pipes, have been sold in that store since they opened. It wasn't until the law was passed that now this has become an issue. The second day of January, we had an officer come into one of our other stores and tell us that this new law went into effect. So immediately we started doing the research and start doing the permit process. My job basically is compliance, and I also my main thing is accounting, but I've been helping with compliance with permits and registrations and such for the companies. I started working with Jessica Ekman at Iowa Revenue. She was kind of in charge on that side of things. And then working with the various city clerks where we had our stores at. Because it was so new, I would say about 50% of the city clerks didn't know about this new law. So not only was it new for us, it was new for the city clerk. And then Iowa Revenue was going through systems upgrades, and so there were some issues on that side too. So I played the kind of intermediator to keep the communication going to get the permits approved. Most of the permits have been approved. Carroll is the only city where when we submitted it, it didn't go to the first council because the city attorney wanted to look at the new rules and regs. The second meeting that was scheduled, it didn't get on the schedule, and then that's when I found out that it was going to be suggested not to approve the permit, and now this is the third meeting that we can actually get resolution in regard to that.
Amy, how many locations does A&M Trading or Greenleaf have?
So Greenleaf is the DBA, so A&M Trading has, I believe, 6 locations.
And where are all these locations at?
Oh, I don't have that information with me. I'm sorry, off the top of my head.
You're talking about all in Iowa? So
Yes, they're all in Iowa. Yeah.
Excuse me, Brad, all the ones listed in your attachment from the state, would these be the locations where they're cited? North Liberty, Cedar Rapids, et cetera, et cetera?
It's possible. I don't know where they're all located
Okay.
either, but those ones are as
I
part
can-
of the HHS report.
Yeah, and I
Okay,
can clarify for you on that.
Oh, that-
We do have 13 legal businesses that go underneath Greenleaf and Tobacco, and each of the businesses, in most cases, have multiple retail stores under those businesses. So if you're looking at total, I've got approval for 42 out of 48 right now,
Okay,
retail stores.
thank you.
So in a nutshell, you were able to sell these devices and now you can't because of this?
New law.
Until you get okay. What did, the law said
The
must
last,
have a permit.
you must have a permit if you sell any pipe that's made of glass or metal. And as he said, for the various uses.
What would this pipe pictured be specifically used for?
That one, for him and what he's used to seeing, Burke, it's for meth, but the purpose from our owner's perspective, it's for incense. There's oil incense, and you'd put it in there, and that's how he perceived of using it. As we can't help if somebody takes it from the store and uses it for another purpose, but if you go to our store and you walk in the door, right to the right, you'll see a wall covered with different incense products and such. That's was the intent of the owner. I do want to address the comment in regard to our 60-day suspension. We did have permits for the CBD. A lot of our registrations, expired January and February, and the owners didn't keep track of it very well, and some of those expired, and so they came out and checked the stores. So if you look at the last, from October 24th to, I think the last one was January 25th, the complaints were because the permit or the registration wasn't on the wall and available. And it's kind of ironic that we're on a 60-day suspension for that, and yet I'm here trying to do the right thing to get the permit so that we can sell the devices. And we know that another store in this town was selling it, but they didn't even try to get a permit. So we are trying to do the right thing to have the registrations and the permits in place, and do things right with the city. We also understand, there are concerns with how these are being used, but that is not the intent of, the owner of how they're using those.
Do you know if your store has a policy in place that you would deny a customer a purchase of this if they indicated they were using it for an illegal use, and specifically I'm thinking marijuana? Is there a
No,
policy to that? If, let's say somebody I came in or this undercover officer came in and said, I'm gonna use this, my marijuana is better in this thing, what are you gonna do? You can sell it or not?
I do not believe we have any policy to that effect, and it's not one of the requirements of the new law permit is that we ask them how it's going to be used.
You don't ask you, I'm thinking that if they offer that,
No,
seems to me you'd want a policy that
no.
says you won't sell it.
No, I mean, I kind of think of it kind of like the difference between like our tobacco store and let's say a bar. At least when someone walks in a bar and they're walking out, they've been drinking. When they walk out of our place, they haven't inhaled anything, they haven't done anything, they just came and brought up a device. Now how they use it, we don't have control of that.
But a lot of these situations that they were cited for, suspensions that led to suspensions, had nothing to do with the consumer, but had to do with a lack of registering certain products. And it's just consistent year after year after year.
Yeah, and
So, I mean, there's a big track record here of just, from my perspective, you should be held responsible for knowing what you need to do, and it's just one thing after another.
but remember, that's HHS, Health and Human Services related PDD. We're here about the device permit,
Right.
which is a whole separate topic.
Right.
Okay,
But
but I
I'm
get
just
your
seeing
concern.
red flags.
Yeah, and with HHS and that, the CBD, remember the rules have continuously changed. One, one department was in charge of it, then all of a sudden HHS was in charge of it. At one point, they allowed so much of the CDB in a drink or whatever, and then they changed it to a different dosage. And as soon as they change it to a dosage, then the store has to hurry up and get rid of the product with a higher dosage to get the new dosage. And it seems like they're like right on it the next day, like they're in checking their stores. So yes, you know, we have to be accountable for that. We get that. And I am thankful in one way about the suspension, because I just started with them in December. So this whole suspension thing kind of got thrown at me. And I've been able since then to download our stores, see which ones have proper registration at HHS, which ones they stopped the registration process and they won't start it again until the 60 days are up. So we've got a list of these stores we can start immediately after the 60-day suspension. These stores we can't. And I got a list of the stores that we don't have registration started yet. And so I'm trying to get that all in a process so that, you know, the owners, they know that only these stores can start selling the stuff in those. And they're getting to know that, and which is part of the reason they hired me too, is because this is getting more complicated. And with the number of stores they have, you know, you got to keep track of, okay, now these stores are due to expire, because everything in Iowa is a year. Everything has to be renewed every year. So with permits like the device permit or the retail permits, the other two permits we have to get, July 1st, consistently, really easy, right? They're going to open registration April 4th, so I got 2 months to get all the permits approved before the July 1st. Now with HHS, the registration process, it's a year from whenever you got approval. So I'm going to have a consistently rotating once a week. I have to watch which ones are going to expire, and I have 30 days. It takes them 30 days to redo the registration. So part of that, yes, is the owner's responsibility, but on the other hand, it's been such a moving target on learning how to deal with the rules and regs and use them right, you know. So I think it's a 50-50 thing. So.
I think the company's trying to bamboozle you a little bit too, because if you read the suspension from HHS, very little stuff about past dates. One of the reasons that we can use anyway to go against the permit is the applicant has shown some disregard for Iowa law. Well, this is an Iowa law through HHS that they violated. Not only once, not twice, but since 2023. So it's not something that's brand new. A second thing is too, I went into the store today to meet with Tammy and spoke with the owner on the phone too. When I walked in today, they had across the front counter plastic over where the pipes were at saying this is not for sale. So I went back and talked to the UC that went in, and he said that was not there on Thursday. So they've known about this law since January 1. They've disregarded it. They've asked for applications, continue to sell. And then when I'm supposed to meet with them today, I fully expected to come in and all the pipes would be gone. But instead they just had plastic over the thing saying not for sale. But that didn't occur last week. That probably happened today before I went in there. So just use that. I just think the company's trying to bamboozle you. This is all a money grab. Of course, the state's going to make money on this too because there's a 40% thing. But I just don't feel that this meets our community standards. We're not in the business to support meth and marijuana use. These companies may want to do that. I think as a city, that's a bad sign for us to do.
Brad, I 100% agree with you. I think it encourages people to use it. Not only that, I think it tells young people to go in there and use it. I mean, if tobacco laws in Iowa were 18, they'd go there and buy this stuff.
21 now.
But if it wasn't 21, they could do it when they're 18. I hate the whole idea of those. Tobacco, yeah, tobacco's fine. Drugs and what they use it for, I hate it.
And we never could regulate, of course. We just had to live with it. But now that the law is in place, we have a little bit of a stance to stand behind on this. So my suggestion will be if we continue to get these ones, and she's right, we did do a buy at another place that doesn't have a permit, hasn't applied for a permit, so we're going to work through that process with taking action against that company too.
But they charged
But if
them
any
the
other
right
ones
way.
that do come forward that apply for these, I'm going to suggest denial also.
Can I just go ahead and make the motion to deny it? I mean,
Well-
do we need?
Can
to
I say one
discuss-
more thing really fast?
Go ahead.
Jessica Ekman at the state level also said to the attorney that if you're going to be consistent, you need to be across the board. You got to treat all the companies similar. So if, you know, you have to decide, are you going to deny both of us as consistently and that anybody in your town, even if they open a new tobacco store, are you going to be consistent that way? Or are you just choosing our store to say no to?
I think I'm making my motion based off, I mean.
I'll recommend
my
denial for every
15
store that
years.
applies.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about this, but I do respect our police chief that does.
Yeah, and he does have a record of being consistent on anything comparable.
I'm gonna second JJ's motion.
Your motion is to deny, just to clarify.
Correct.
Okay. Danny, thanks for your time.
And I'm
That's a
sorry,
motion.
can you determine, please, are you gonna deny as a whole, anybody, any tobacco stores tonight? Or are
No,
you
this
just
is
being
a
specific
motion
us?
on this
Just permit by
specifically.
permit like we do any other
Right,
permit
right.
application.
Right, it's not, I don't think we could deny anything else because it's not in the agenda here.
No.
So
We've only
you're
received
making
this
a
one.
motion to deny
This permit.
this permit.
Correct.
And Kyle, you're seconding
Yep.
it? Okay. A roll call vote, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bornero?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes,
Motion is approved.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right. All right, move on to one more here. We have street sweeper purchase. And Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. The current budget includes $300,000 for the purchase of a replacement street sweeper. The current sweeper is a 2015 Elgin Pelican three-wheeled type sweeper. And based on the sweeping performance, we're recommending that the replacement sweeper be a like model, a three-wheeled mechanical sweeper. There is one manufacturer that makes that mechanical sweeper, and that is the Elgin Sweeper Company. McQueen Equipment from Ankeny is the regional distributor for those Elgin sweepers. If we were to prepare a bid specification and go to open bidding on it, actually, the Elgin would be the only one that would meet the bid. So we did not do that. We did not solicit alternate bids. We did, however, work with McQueen Equipment Company to get pricing on kind of a range of purchasing options or purchasing contracts. They're listed in your memorandum. The first, under McQueen Equipment, is what the company would sell the sweeper for with no other purchasing contract. A net of $273,585, $72. The second is under the Sourcewell purchasing agreement. The Elgin sweeper does have a contract with Sourcewell. That price would be $267,890. And the third is the Minnesota Department of Transportation purchasing contract. McQueen Equipment is included on the Minnesota State purchasing contract for sweepers. And as a result of that, of course, all municipalities, governmental entities in Minnesota can take advantage of that, and McQueen Equipment will honor that price for public agencies in Iowa. So that price is a net of $263,684.50. We also have received a written offer to purchase our current sweeper from the city of Anita. They have offered $55,000 to purchase it. And actually, for the disposal of that sweeper, we have not made notice of disposal pursuant to the policy number 0304. So at this time, unless there are any questions, I'd recommend waiver of the purchasing policy, purchase of the Elgin street sweeper from McQueen Equipment at their Minnesota DOT price of $303,684.50, and waiver of the city's surplus property disposal policy, and sale of the current sweeper to the city of Anita at their offer of $55,000.
Randy, on the sale of the sweeper to Anita, are we assuring any kind of guarantee to this? I assume it's as is.
As is,
There's no-
yes.
Okay. They pick it up, we don't drive it down there.
They pick it up. Mhm.
At least I was, I didn't know if anybody knew I was kidding or not.
Jeez.
Is there any other questions? I did want to make sure that we had it as is. On okay, if there are no questions, we could do the first two in one motion, probably. That would be the waiver of city policy number 0501, purchasing policy, and allow the purchase of an Elgin Pelican NP street sweeper from McQueen Equipment at their MNDLT. Is there a motion to that effect?
Moved.
By Tom,
Second.
and second by Kyle. Roll call vote, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes,
Shrek? Yes. Ordinary?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, and then we'd also need a motion to approve waiver of city policy number 0304, sale of surplus city property, and approve the sale of the city's current street sweeper to the city of Anita for $55,000. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
JJ, and I think Carolyn seconded it. So, roll call vote on that, please.
Seaman?
yes,
Shrek?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bornero? Bauer?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you very much. We have, if I'm reading this correctly, we're about done here. I have no comments tonight this evening.
We don't have any committee reports or anything like that, so.
No, we don't.
Correct.
So, any comments from, city council? Or the city manager?
I would just remind council that there is the county roundtable tomorrow night at 5:30 in Coon Rapids. They are going to tour the Bitcoin mining company down there. If you're interested in the,
Y'all look at me.
cryptocurrency. That's what I was thinking of. If you're interested in that, we do have a few going, so.
It's very, I mean, I've seen the place and it's just really, it's worth going to if you have time, so.
That's all I have.
Yeah, okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Kyle seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Shrek?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
yes.
Bornero?
Yes.
You're adjourned.